everyone. So glad to be back here with the Reboot Her community. Wishing everybody a very, very healthy and a happy new year ahead. It's been a tough 2020, and we can only hope and pray that what has maligned us so much and what must not be named is soon out of our lives. Anyway, what we want to do is focus on what we can control, and that is to try and steer our career journeys as much as possible in a certain direction. So we've decided this year, 2021, to start on a note of hope and being the change that we want to see. This is why we have invited Sangeeta Sumesh to help us, right at the beginning of the year, to shape our journeys, to sort of share her expertise on how and what we can do better, so that we have a jump start on this year, so that we don't let this year control our career as much as we can exercise control on it. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Sangeeta Sumesh. I don't know where to begin her introductions. It's amazing what all you have achieved so far in your over 25-year career journey. You're a very accomplished professional. You're a high performance coach that works with organizations, with leaders, with individuals through your consultancy, Gain Stastic, sorry. And you're also a serial author. You're a best-selling author of 3 books. So, I mean, I can't believe how incredibly lucky we are to have you. So without much further ado, I hand over the space to you, Sangeeta, and thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Anu. It's been great to, again, address the Reboot community. I'm very passionate about women and, their growth. So this is like really nice. And thanks to Reboot for organizing this. So before we even deep dive into, today's topic, I want to share with everybody 2 real life instances. And they are my classmates actually. So let's just say one of them, her name is Meena. It's a fictitious name, of course. Meena, as soon as she completed her college, she fell in love and she actually eloped with her neighbor because they were of different castes, and obviously her parents being very conservative, she knew that they wouldn't let them to get married. So she got married to this guy and then had kids immediately, and everything seemed to be kind of going all right. But when Meena was about 39, she lost her husband very unexpectedly. She had kids who were, just about completing school at that point in time. And for whatever reasons, there was some lot of difference of opinion with her in-laws. And then, ultimately, Meena was out from the family. So she didn't know where to start. She didn't know what to do because she had absolutely nothing in her career. But within a span of 6 to 7 years, guess what Meena is today? She is the operations head in a fairly large-sized IT company. Okay, this is a story about Meena. Let me also tell you the story of Sheetal. Sheetal, as soon as she finished her college, she got married. It was an arranged marriage, and the boy was in London. So she was very excited to start this new phase in her life, and she was so excited, went to London. She had twins, but within 5 years, the marriage wasn't really good. And they had to separate ways because he was abusing her and had extramarital affairs and stuff like that. Sheetal again did not have, a career, nor did she have any sort of backing, because both in the case of Meena as well as Sheetal, they had just done their graduation. They hadn't had any formal major education. But then what happened to Sheetal? So she didn't have a choice because she didn't want to come back home. She said, I will support my children and I will have to ensure that they are doing very well. So she started taking different jobs. At the same time, she started educating herself. And today she's completed her PhD and she works for one of the top universities in London. Now, why am I telling you all this? This is to say that wherever you may be, however things can be, you can always transform things around. It's all in your hands. If you really want to, you can, because I think women really have so much of power and we don't know the kind of potential that's there in us. So it's just that you need to tell yourself, yes, I can do it, and go ahead with it. Now, again, if you were to look at a common thread in both these stories, they had the grit, they had the will, they were looking at possibilities of working and worked towards their goals, and they were high performers. And the most important thing was they did not really focus on the problems, but focused on the solutions, on the possibilities, on how they could actually go about conquering themselves and, set an identity for themselves. So today I want to tell you that problems and challenges are probably common for everybody, irrespective of the gender and whatever level you're in. But if you're able to focus and, if you want to really get solutions to it, it's in your hands and definitely you can do it. So today I'm going to break this myth for you. I'm going to talk to you about 5 common challenges that I've come across, and how is it that you could overcome these solutions? What are the possible solutions that you could go about in overcoming these challenges and setting yourself to see what you want to achieve and have a jump start in your careers? So the first most common challenge that I have come across is the lack of clarity. While it may sound, what is this? No, I want to have a career, I want to have a great career, everything. Yes, I'm not disputing that. But what I mean by the lack of clarity is, what is driving you? Why is it that you want to have such a great career? Why is it you even want to jumpstart your career? What is your inner voice telling you? And how would you feel if you were to get the sort of career that you want? So these are some things that you need to think through and answer them for yourself. So how does one overcome this? By having clear purpose. So state your purpose. What is actually wanting you to get jump started? Is it could be an umpteen number of things. It could be like financial independence, it could be a sense of accomplishment, a sense of satisfaction. It could be anything that you're thinking about. But the thing is, you need to identify what is the purpose. Simon Sinek says, start with why. So why is it that you want to have a great career? So once you're able to answer this for yourself, then you see a lot of clarity emerges, and that will help you to propel ahead. I would also like to tell you another thing here about another college mate. We had our college reunion, I think about 10-15 years after we passed out from college. So a whole lot of us were, very excited that we were able to reconnect and meet in person. So at that time, each of us were, trying to say, oh, I'm doing this in my career, I'm at this stage in my career. And each of us were like, taking the others past through our brief journey. However, there was one of them, very different in her thought. She said, I have been working in this particular job, in this particular role, and I've been in this role for the last 3 years. I'm actually due for promotion, but I don't want to get promoted. The first time when I heard it, I was quite surprised because I was always wanting to grow in my career and I had assumed it was the case with everybody. But since she said this, I was wondering. So I said, what makes you say this, that you don't want to grow further in your career? So you know what she said? If I'm promoted, it means a lot more responsibility. I may not have this kind of freedom that I'm enjoying right now. And just for that few extra money and the little bit of good feel and the dopamine high, she was like, why do I have to sacrifice? I'm very happy where I am today, and I'm very happy with the role. Why should I stress myself out? Why do I have to take extra responsibility? And that was quite an aha moment for me, because it did change my perspective. So if you want to know what is it that you want, if you know your purpose well, then it will help you. I'm not saying everybody has to be this way, but whatever is there in your heart, whatever that you would like to do, because end of the day, what matters the most is your happiness. So if it's something that's going to make you happy, great. It could be a great career, or it could be at, at home, wherever, whatever that you want to do. But end of the day, if you know your purpose, it gives you the clarity, and you can navigate your life the way that you want. So that was the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about. The second most common challenge that I've heard is, guess what? No time. I'm so pressed for time. I have so many things to do. And, taking up another job, or, doing something else, or growing in my career, I feel overwhelmed. This is a common thing that I again hear. But if you know your purpose, and if you really think you want to jumpstart your career and move and propel in your life ahead, how does one overcome this challenge? So I'm going to share 3 little tips under this. So what that you could do to overcome this limiting thing about time. The first thing is to delegate, right? For most people, and especially women, we find it a little difficult to delegate because we think we are perfect. We are the perfectionists and nobody else can do anything as good as us. But by doing that, it means, like I was telling you, we need to learn to delegate, because if you're really pressed for time and you want to take up everything onto your shoulders, then it's not easy for you, right? So learn to delegate. So how does one delegate? I say partner with your family at home and partner with your colleagues at work, right? So if you're able to part with a little bit of your workload, whatever that is delegatable, it's not that you have to do everything. So whatever is delegatable, if you're able to share it with your family or with your colleagues, it makes a lot of difference. So let me just share little instances here. Like a friend of mine, what she does, she always apprises her mother-in-law on whatever is happening at her workplace, and she even gets suggestions from her on what sari to wear, or what outfit to wear for each occasion. So by doing that, you're able to involve them in what you do, and thereby they know that, oh yes, she is doing something that's pretty important. Similarly at work, again, another friend of mine always appraises her boss and her colleagues, like whenever she has to go to like a PTA at school, or the child is unwell or any sort of emergency, she keeps the team abreast, so that they also know that those are times that she need not be disturbed. So these are little tips that you could do, and thereby manage. So how else can you manage your time? By prioritizing. I always say prioritize what is important. So once you do that, the other things would fall in place, right? So I mean, if I were to share my example, in the last 16 years or so, I have never watched the television, because though I like movies, and I do once in a while go for movies, but then the television and other things, if at all I have some extra time, is only then I would even think of stuff like that. But my calendar is pretty full. So then I realized what is important. If I were able to prioritize that first, then the other things will automatically fall in place. So that was something else that you could do. And the third thing that you could do for better time management is focus, right? Focus, yes. Because they say where your attention goes, your energy flows. Your energy flows where your attention goes, right? So it is not really the quantity. I would say quality over quantity is what matters. So to manage your time better, what are the 3 things that you could do? Learn to delegate, learn to prioritize, and focus, right? So that was the second thing that we saw. What is the third common challenge that we see is limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs actually could be limiting or empowering beliefs. And, both ways, the extremes aren't the best. And I'll tell you why. To give you a little example about my own self, this happened like probably more than 10 years ago. Once my husband's friend had come home for dinner. And how men are, so they were like chatting up and having a drink and having a good time. And it was getting quite late. It was a working day for me. I was very exhausted already. And my daughter was just about 4 or 5 at that point in time. And we had finished our dinner, and I was, waiting to serve the men and then put the food back into the fridge. So while I was waiting, my daughter, who was very small at that time, so she wanted me to, cuddle up to her and ensure that I put her to sleep. But then I was just buying time from her because I was so tired. I said, if I were to come to bed, I'm just going to crash and, I won't be able to pull myself out of the bed and then clear the table. I mean, serve them and whatever. So the little one just looked at me and she said, Amma, can't Appa do this? That was like an aha moment for me because I had never thought of that possibility. I was like, the entire world rests only on my shoulders. I was like, only I have to serve, only I have to put the food back into the fridge. And, these sort of notions come with us. But the moment she said it, I just asked my husband, he didn't have a problem. So I said, okay, eat, serve yourself, clear the table, and put the balanced food back into the fridge. And I bid goodbye to them and I happily slept. So, something as simple as this, we just tend to complicate things. So, my friends, what sort of beliefs do you have, right? That is one end where, you think only you can do everything that's there. Let me also take you through to the other extreme. Like Anu said, I'm an author, but guess what? I never had plans of writing any book. It just so happened that a family vacation to Cambodia, I went to the killing fields and something transpired. And then, I had this thought like, why don't I write about this? But then what did my mind voice tell me? Oh, forget it. Who's going to read your book? You're not an author. I had all these types of stories that kept coming into my head, and I forced myself not to write. But then, since this story kept coming back to me, and I think after about over a year, is when I actually wrote my first book, right? So, these are the limiting stuff that we tell ourselves, that you are not capable, you are not good, and no, if we do it, it has to be so perfect and stuff like that. So how do you overcome? It's the way that you talk to yourself, right? So let me again share this if this would inspire you to take action. The first book that I wrote won me an award as one of the 100 inspiring authors of India. It's called A Glance of the Unknown, a spiritual thriller. When I started telling people that I've written this book, everybody assumed that I'm a finance professional with more than 2 decades of experience, and they said, you should be writing a finance book. Come on, we need a finance book from you. And again, I was thinking like, there are so many finance books. Why do I have to write another one again? But then few things led me to write this, and I did see that some of the entrepreneurs were quite struggling with the finance. So I said, let me make it easy and simple for them. And thereby I wrote What the Finance. And guess what? It's become a national bestseller. And I didn't stop there. So then I just went on to write my next one. In fact, it has just come out. It's called Get High, and it has been endorsed by Dr. Marshall Goldsmith and few other senior industry leaders, and it is about how to coach yourself for high performance, right? So if I hadn't taken that first step, and if I had just stuck on and held on to my limiting beliefs, guess what? I would never be able to blossom as an author. So what are your limiting beliefs? How are you planning to overcome them? Because they say if you're all huddled up inside your comfort zone, magic cannot really happen. So if you want to break free and give yourself the jump start, there's nothing wrong. Just go ahead, try. What can be the worst thing that can happen? You fail, that's all right. Try again, right? So that's the key. So see how you can break free from your limiting beliefs. The fourth common challenge is not having the right mindset. And that can really get onto your way of giving your very best. Again, let me share a little example with you. This was many years ago, more than 25 years ago. This was when I was doing my costing course, which is called ICW. Most of you probably even know it. So it so happened that my inter, it's divided into two parts, inter and the final. The inter, to be honest, I hadn't studied much. And I got through the first time. I was like, oh, wow, I know it all. This is going to be a cakewalk for me. And because I had this sort of a mindset that didn't really help me to grow, I never really prepared much for the final exam. And guess what? I flunked. And only when I was able to change my mindset to say, no, I mean, I need to put in the efforts, I need to do well. And, that kind of the boost that I was able to give myself, that's what helped me to complete the exam. So, what sort of a mindset are you having with your career? What are the stories and what are the excuses that you're telling yourself? Do you really want to jumpstart your career? Answer this to yourself. Then you would know which direction to go ahead and what are the things that you need to do and how to propel yourself ahead. So that's something that's very important. So work on having the right mindset, and especially if you want to have the growth mindset, I think that's very important. Now, being a high performance coach, let me also give you a little bit of a tip here. Now, what is high performance? Because everybody wants to be a high performer, not just individuals but even organizations, right? Because everybody wants to have be the leader in their domain, right? Is there anybody who doesn't want high performance? I guess not, right? So, okay, let me break down what is high performance. It means achieving superior results by performing at a high standard as per targets that you're setting yourself. So you'll have to see what are the targets that you're setting yourself, what is really driving you, and how you can go about achieving targets and get better. You need to be a version better than yesterday. Compete with your own self, right? You don't really have to look at others. You look at what's happening in your life, how you can get over your challenges, how you can keep improving and growing. And that's when you have the growth mindset as well. So, in fact, the book that I showed you, Get High, that I've written, like I said, it's on how to coach yourself for high performance in whatever work that you do. So, it has tools and tricks and techniques that you can actually go about. So, if you're interested, the book is available on Amazon and Flipkart. Feel free to read it and do share how your journey of high performance has been. So that's something pretty important. And yes, I also keep sharing a little bit of nuggets on my YouTube channel. It's called Sangeeta Sum. Probably share it in the comments. And yes, I will share the link definitely. So yeah, feel free to subscribe. I keep sharing things on finance, leadership, and high performance. So you can just see how you can manage to keep growing yourself, because high performance is not a destination, it's a journey. You're constantly working on yourself to see how you can keep getting better at whatever you're doing, right? So that is the key. And what is the other common challenge? Not having, or rather not realizing the importance of me time. Like in the aircraft when you're traveling, what do they say in case of emergency? Put the mask on yourself first before helping your family, right? Because unless you are well, you are happy and mentally at peace, you may not be able to deliver the best, be it your career, be it at home, whatever role that you're playing, your best may not be able to come. And especially women, what I've noticed is, we prioritize everybody else, everything else around us, and we take the back seat. And as a result, we tend to get burned out very easily. So it's very important, learn to pivot yourself and see what are the different other things that you can do now. If you're in a strong position yourself, whatever is the me time that you want, it could be shopping, it could be going to a spa, it could be gardening, painting, I mean, whatever that you feel happy about. Now, what works for me is meditation. I'm into art of living for the last 15 16 years, and every single day doing the simple breathing exercises and then sitting for meditation for 10-15 minutes, it really rejuvenates me and I feel my stress levels come down. So what is it that works for you? Find out. Whatever it is, ensure that you're able to set that little time aside. Like a simple thing like a friend of mine, she says her morning coffee is so important for her. So however busy she is, whatever happens, every morning that 15 minutes she would sit, even she says, even the house can burn, I don't care, but those minutes, the 15 minutes are something that's so precious for me. And she says that helps me to, really be charged up and ensure I give my best both at work and at home. So find out what is your sweet spot. What is it that will make you feel like, yay, right? So, and then go for that. So that is something very important and crucial. So these were the 5 things, main things that I wanted to share. And apart from that, I also thought I would share the blueprint to you for high performance, right? So what are the things that you could do and ensure that you are a high performer at your workplace and have that jump start that you really want? So the first thing, like we already discussed, is to have clarity on purpose. Whatever it is, whatever area, whatever work that you do, ensure you are having the clarity. So have the clarity on purpose. Second thing is to focus on what matters. You don't have to really look around for everything. Whatever matters to you, whatever is important, have your focus there so that your best comes out. The third thing, especially during the current times, learn to adapt, because the adaptability and the flexibility is something very important. I think this comes naturally to most women. Fourth thing, again, what we saw is prioritize right. Because, like I said already, once you know how to prioritize the important things, the other things will automatically fall into place. Fifth is to explore collaborations. See, reach out. Platforms like Reboot are great platforms to collaborate with, and see how you can reach out. How you can get to where you want to go and how you can have that kind of growth that you're seeking for yourself. So that is another thing. The sixth thing is to enhance your productivity. Now, all of us have only 24 hours, right? So, but in that 24 hours, how effective are you? How are you able to give your best, or are you just, whiling away and giving up, not. While I also said me time is important, to chilling time is important, set aside time for that. But the rest of the time, ensure that you give your best so that you are being very productive in what you do. Seventh, being a finance professional, I'll have to touch upon the importance of having the financial prudence, because end of the day, it all boils down to see how well you're managing your resources, and finance is a very important resource. So having the financial prudence. And the eighth and the last thing is to see, measure your progress. How have you been progressing in your career, or whatever work that you do, how have you been progressing? And that's something that's important, so that when you look back at your own self, you will know the path that you've traveled, and you would feel really good about what you've done and what you've accomplished to your own self. Forget impressing others. Are you impressing yourself? Are you happy in what you do? Those are what is important. So I think now is one of the best times. There can't be any better time, because there's so much flexibility to work from home. And I think that is a great blessing, because we can always manage what's happening at home as well as at work. So I think this is that way, if you were to try and look at it positively, I think there's a lot that can be done, but a word of caution there as well. You must know how to differentiate between your work time and your office time, so that you don't get burnt out. These days there's hardly any differentiation between the working time and home time and the me time as well. So ensure you're able to kind of barricade all of this, and with that, I think you can really rock and have a great career for yourself, and design it the way that you want and achieve what you want to achieve. So I'd like to wish you the very best of high performance. And yeah, if you have any question and answers, I'm glad to help you out there.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta. No surprises here. That was an amazing 30 minutes. I think it was so crisp and so to the point. There are so many takeaways. And the good thing is that you have left us to do all the work. So if I just look at all these points about adapting, prioritizing, it's something I have to sit down with a vision board or a drawing board and figure out what is it that I want. Be honest to myself with the answers.
Yes.
How much do you want to jumpstart? So I think some awesome points there, great session. And yes, I would like to
Thank
open
you. So,
the.
Anu, that's exactly what a coach does, right? The coach only kindles your thought and expects you to take
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
actions. Yeah, that's
That's
right.
true. That's true. That's the beauty of coaching. Yeah. Great. So I have, I kept some comments away because at that time you were speaking and I didn't want people to get distracted. But there's some interesting comments also that have come up. Also, if you could share a link of the book or maybe all
Yes,
three of your books, it would be great.
sure. I will.
Uh, any questions, folks? This is the time.
Thank you, Pallavi.
Right. So I have one a thought
Sure.
that sort of came up as you were speaking. There were many thoughts, of course, but one thing that I thought I must talk about is when you were giving these amazing examples of your own experiences and experiences of your friends. They really drove home some points. So this has been said about women that women themselves, we have a lot of stereotypes that we deal with, some which are which are just myths. And we must also remember that all women's experiences are not the same. Womanhood is not universal. Your experience, your lived experience is radically different from mine, and so on. So there are myths, there are some truths, and also there are some imbibed tendencies or habits because of our socialization, because of patriarchy, because of the way society has created a woman's role. So it is often said that women aren't themselves ambitious enough. I mean, I've had attended sessions in which leaders have said, but women don't want to do this. If you're ambitious, you will want to become a leader. It's that women themselves don't want, they don't want to grow. They want to limit themselves because of multiple roles. So this is a common notion that women aren't ambitious, and I'm not even talking about the other one, which is when women are ambitious, it is seen as a negative. So, so how do we balance this notion that you spoke of earlier that you may want to not grow or not get promoted because it increases the responsibilities on you? How do we balance that with being an ambitious person? I mean, I don't want people to take away this message that, let's not aspire for greater heights because we have to manage the kitchen, you know? So,
No.
what are your thoughts on that?
So that's what I say. Since you said kitchen, I said delegate. If you are okay with having a cook, go ahead, get the cook. It's not that only you have to cook. Or if you are particular not to have a cook, involve your family. Like, get your kids to like chop vegetables. Get your husband to probably clean up. Little things like that. You need to learn to partner with, whoever, whatever it is. Your journey is separate. I mean, each one's is unique, like you exactly said. So don't try and combine the two. So that is why I said, if you're ambitious, it's very important for you to know what's really driving you. Why is it that you want to scale in your career, right? I mean, financial independence could be one thing, but that's not the only thing. There are so many other factors that go behind. Like I said in the beginning, what is the sense of satisfaction that you get, a sense of accomplishment, right? You feel good about your own self when you have a challenge and then you have overcome the challenge successfully at work. I mean, imagine how would you feel, and you get applauded amongst your colleagues to say, "Oh, wow, you've done a fabulous job." How would that be, right? So there's
Right,
so much more to it. But I'm only trying to drive home the point that find out your purpose. What is it that is actually driving you? Why is it you want to have this jump start? Why is it you want to be ambitious? I mean, what are you going to achieve by having that ambition? Now, if you're able to answer these questions right, and to yourself, you don't have to speak about it to everybody, but once you have that required clarity of your purpose, that will, I think, automatically propel you and help you get that growth mindset, and then you will automatically do what is best for you in your circumstances and be able to manage. So the key is you identifying your
right.
purpose, like how, yes, I want to achieve, and be focused about it. Yes, my career is important, my growth is important for me. So once you know that and the real purpose that's driving you, it becomes pretty automatic.
Awesome. So just before we conclude this point, yeah, so I am cognizant that there is a thin line in many families between the family wanting, since we're taking the kitchen example, between the families wanting the woman of the house to cook because it's more nutritious, it's cleaner, it's better, whatever.
Absolutely.
And sometimes women themselves want to do that. And yesterday, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this very sad comment where a woman said that, I have all my life taken pleasure to give healthy, nutritious food to my kids and my husband, and and I enjoy it. I want to do it for them, and now I have COVID, and so I am isolated. I can't cook, and now they are struggling at home because you in such a situation you don't even want to call food from outside. So
Correct.
there are multiple benefits of having a family in which everybody contributes towards the household. Yeah,
Yes.
not just chopping vegetables or not just cleaning, but there are multiple benefits, and one of them amazingly is that you have more time to think about your ambitions and what you aspire for in life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I think good point that you brought out, because what I also notice is I think the younger generation is a little more open to being able to contribute to the household chores. I think
Yeah.
that is a lot of change. Now, if you were to compare to our mothers, I think our daughter's generation is getting better. So also what I would say is, if we have sons, like I do train my son to do, though he doesn't like it much, I ensure that no, hey, come and do this, stuff like that. So I think we also need to give them that little push so that they are able to manage. And I think since we like to copy a lot of things from the Western culture now, if you notice, the Western culture, both of them play an equal role, more or less. So I think that
Yep.
is pretty important too. Yeah.
Yep. Another question here, and this is a biggie: how to gain back self-confidence, which is lost after a long break.
Right. So you need to talk yourself through. I say the mind is like a software program. So it works on like the way that you program it. So if you keep telling yourself, oh no, I can't do this and whatever, yeah, you will never be able to do it. But if you're able to feed yourself with positive thoughts to say, yes, I will do this, and I will come out in flying colors. But even if I can't do it, and even if I fail, it's okay. I'm going to try again. So these are the kind of thoughts, at a subconscious level, you need to work within yourself. So that will automatically kind of build. Yes, I perfectly resonate with this because, like I said, as an author, the first time I was going to write, I also didn't have the self confidence. But then I said, it's all right. What can be the worst that can happen? At the most, people will read it and say, what have you written? It's trash. So I was like mentally prepared for the worst case scenario. So I think once you're, as I said, program your mind and then just go ahead and take it. You never know what awaits you on the other side. And don't always think you need to be 100% perfectionist, right? Just forget that. If you're just going to be focusing only on perfection, you will know that there are so many other things that doesn't work. So in fact, it was pretty strange. Like I spoke to a very senior leader in his 60s who's kind of semi-retired, and he's been wanting to write a book, and he still hasn't managed to write one. So he says, I can write well, I know what I want to write on, I have all the ideas, but it's just that I don't know how it will come, and stuff like that. So I was telling him the same thing. So these are all things that we tell ourselves: be prepared for the worst, but just go ahead and get
Right.
started, because this sort of confidence will otherwise, you are the one to give you the confidence and you are the one to take it back as well.
Correct,
So,
absolutely. I think the
yeah,
perfection piece is a great point, and it has been proven with research that women tend to try and match themselves 100% to job descriptions, whereas
yes,
men tend to apply with even a 60 to 70% match. So
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
suggest, Shama, the other thing is besides perfectionism and the riddance of it, is that the only way to gain or one of the ways to gain your self belief about being able to work is to actually work, take up assignments, take up internships, do voluntary work, so that you bring back into the game slowly. Without doing that, you will never bridge the gap. So just put yourself out there, get out of your comfort zone, and only then, as Sangeeta said, magic will happen. Any other questions, folks? Yeah, this one. Do you suggest any activities to motivate to take the
Use
first step?
activities like you
Exercise.
could probably do things like yeah, definitely, any sort of exercise, physical, mental, even journaling about your thoughts or whatever happened, because it's good to kind of empty your mind and get away with the negative thoughts. So like I said, what works for me is meditation. It does a lot of wonders. Simple breathing exercises. I've been into art of living. If you're able to devote that time, now that's my me time, right? So if you can just set aside whatever, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever in each day, and devote to whatever that really clicks for you, I think that helps. And the kind of self-talk, what is the self-talk that you're doing yourself, like oh, you will not be able to do it, you're not good enough. If you keep saying stuff like that, yes, that's what is going to manifest in reality. But if you're going to like motivate your own self, like saying, yes, I can do it, I mean, let me do it, it's all right if I fail, right? Or I'll just go ahead and give it a shot. Or I would always say, take it in small bits. You don't have to take the entire leap, but then if you can do it in bite-sized actions, now that will yield a big result. That there's this saying, like every day you make that small change, 1 to the power of 365, and then by the end of the year it really multiplies manifold, right? So you don't have to do it in entirety at one go, but do these small little actions that will take you through a long way.
Absolutely. Great suggestions there. Yes. And like you said, baby steps, one every day, not 365 in the first week. Awesome. Any other questions, folks?
Thank you,
I think,
Shalini.
yeah, I think I don't see any more questions coming. I think we have given them a lot to think about already. So I think we should just do that thing, can take a piece of paper and pen and put down our thoughts and chart out a plan. We will try to do in the subsequent weeks an exercise around vision boards as well, so that you can actually see what you want in front of you and then, sort of work towards to achieve it.
Yeah,
Great.
and
So
I
thank
think you should also if you're looking at upgrading yourself and all, I think platforms like LinkedIn are very good. LinkedIn, YouTube and all has a world of resources, so I think that would be really good as well. And yeah, if you're on LinkedIn, I'm happy to connect. I'm Sangeeta Sumesh on LinkedIn, so yeah, if you
Yep,
want to connect.
absolutely. Connect, folks. Connect, Shama, and also engage more in the community with us. We do share a lot of different kinds of content, and if you engage, if you read, you will know what's happening in the world, and also make a concerted effort to read up on the domain you have worked in and join a mentorship program. We will get you a mentor. Don't lose the opportunity. It's a complimentary mentorship program. We are gearing to start it in February, where we will align you with mentors. So watch out for Mentor Her, enroll. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Sangeeta. That's a great, great way to start
Everyone,
2021. Thank you so much.
good luck to everybody. All right,
Bye
see
bye.
you. Bye.